Hey guys, thanks for clicking on this. Thanks for watching my channel. As usual, like and subscribe. Really helps out the channel, and let's get into this. I've talked a lot about this force healing thing and how they're taking it way too far. So now, not only can you heal whatever creatures, people, you can also bring people back from the dead. And now they're bringing it to a whole other level here. So Star Wars Legacy No one understands the Force healing better than The Mandalorian in the entire sequel trilogy. This is 100% correct. This is an article from January. I missed it, but whatever. Number one, Force healing was better than The Mandalorian whole sequel trilogy. To prevent Padme from dying, Anakin Skywalker to fall to the dark side, swear allegiance to Darth Sidious, become Darth Vader. So he tells Anakin Darth Plagueis was Darth Sith Lord so powerful he could use the Force to influence midichlorians to create life. Okay. He could actually save people from death, Anakin questions, to which Palpatine responds, the dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities that some consider to be unnatural. So this whole idea of bringing people back from the dead was supposed to be unnatural before Disney purchased this IP. So, and that's good because it's good to have a difference between the dark side Force and light side Force, and you don't want everything to be the same, because if it's the same, then there's no tension, there's no, that's part of the battle, is there's differences, obviously, right? So is it possible to learn this power? Palpatine responds, not from a Jedi. In other words, it's the dark side. Just help me save Padme's life. I can't live without her. To cheat death, Sidious responds, is a power only one has achieved. If we work together, I know we can discover the secret. So he pledges himself to Sidious because he thinks he's going to be able to find the secret to save Padme, okay? So here's where it gets rocky. Disney's sequel trilogy and The Mandalorian would make a mockery of the Revenge of the Sith, as Rey would use the Force healing to not only on the Vexus, the snake, and also on Kylo Ren with no consequences. The technique would then be used by Ben Solo to save Rey as he gave his life to her. In the Star Wars book, they would explain the Force healing only works through a Force dyad, which is a link through the Force that connects two individuals across space and time. It then explains how those for the dyad possesses another unusual ability. Force can heal a wounded person or creature, but this act also requires that the healer transform some of their Force energy, which can temporarily weaken them. The book also makes this clear that Ben Solo uses on Rey following their battle against Darth Sidious. After their battle with Sidious, Ben Solo sacrifices his life and all of his Force energy to bring Rey back from the dead. But of course, when Rey does it, it doesn't use any of her energy. When Grogu does it, it doesn't use any of her energy. Are you guys seeing the inconsistencies here? And I mentioned in my Rey as a Jedi God video that they're doing this with Grogu too, and I'm not saying I don't like Grogu, but it's not consistent. They're inconsistent. Even their own books that they've written, Disney has put this stuff out with this dyad nonsense. They even contradict their own lore, right? So it's a mess. There's too many shows, too many people, it's too much. It's so inconsistent. So Lucasfilm had previously revealed in Rise of Skywalker the visual dictionary that Rey learned the ability to force heal from the Jedi text she acquired on Octu. Okay, well, wait a minute. I thought it was only a dark side thing. Now we're talking about Jedi texts? So again, let's blur the line. Let's just make Jedi and Sith pretty much the same thing. Boring, blurred line. Boring. It's boring. The book explained, Rey is fascinated by the arcane healing techniques described in the Chronicles of Brusbu, and uses the underpinnings of... Now this is so ridiculous. Uses the underpinnings of such teachings to heal the broken kyber crystal in her lightsaber. To heal, it's a rock. It's not being healed. You're putting it back together. Guys, do any of you guys like this? This is ridiculous. So Force healing brings people back from the dead. Heals people. Now it not only heals people and organic objects, inorganic objects are also healed now. Or fixed. At what point are they going to say that Rey can put a ship back together with Force healing? Like at what point is this getting stupid? And again, they're contradicting their own books. The Rise of Skywalker novelization would reinforce Rey learned this ability from the Jedi text. Again, contradicting their own lore. It reads, she was acting on pure instinct now, closed her eyes, reached out of the Force whenever she fought, or leapt through the jungles of Ajan Kloss, or even mind-tricked a stormtrooper, releasing her shackles, she channeled the Force, using it for her own advantage in some way, but this would call for a different technique, something she'd learned from the Jedi text when she was mending Luke's kyber crystal. This time she would give. Like, Hammer's from chest, offered to the serpent, its pain was receded. I just transferred a bit of life force energy from me to him, Rey says in the book. The book then reveals the healing of the snake unlocked more of the Force, similar to an RPG skill tree. Healing the Vexus had exhausted her, but it also opened up new avenues of the Force to her, something about both giving and taking, about a more perfect oneness than she'd understood before. She yearned to talk it over with Leia. So they screwed up. They made it so that there was zero impact on her. So they already had established that to Force heal, you're transferring Force energy from you to another person, which means it would take away Force energy from you, making you likely weaker. But oh no, look what we did. We forgot to do that when we filmed the movie. So now make up something. So that's the paragraph. That's the explanation, because they just screwed up. And what were they doing on set in this filming these movies? When she heals Kylo, she uses this ability to not only transfer her own Force energy, but the Force energy of the life in the ocean as well. Rey drew on everything around her so much life in that violet ocean, but mostly she drew on herself. She gave, and you're contradicting yourselves again, and it's so dumb. Okay, so I wish I would have seen this article when I did raise a Force a Jedi God. They have taken this to such an extreme. This is the least interesting thing ever. She can basically just do anything. Again, if they do an episode 10, what is it going to be about? Like Rey just running around, just basically just like she apparently turned Kylo good by healing him too. So healing also does that. So crystals turns you from the dark side, raises you from the dead, heals you. Like, guys, this is not Star Wars. This is boring. Grogu uses Force healing with no consequences at all. So no longer, this is a great line here by Star Wars Legacy, no longer is the ability to cheat death a power that only one has achieved. No longer is it implied that it is a dark side ability that some consider unnatural. It's a power now that both Rey and Grogu use with little to no consequences. Bubkiss. Absolute bubkiss. Not only are multiple people running around the galaxy with the ability, but it's also seemingly used as a light side power rather than a dark side, and a non-natural one now. One that you can learn from arcane Jedi texts. That's a stark contrast to Palpatine explaining. So again, it really does look like they bought this IP and they just decided they were just going to take a dump on everything that came before 2012. You know, you look at what they did with the Legends stuff. You look at what they did, and of course now they're trickling some of it back in so they can take credit for canonizing it, of course. And they're taking a dump on all of this lore, like. Yeah, and so then they go on to talk about Kate Skywalker and how this is actually like how it's supposed to be. But guys, like, they just destroy the lore. After Cezanne is brought back from the brink of death, he warns Cade that he is falling to the dark side. It was wrong for you to bring me back to life. To do it brought you to the edge of the dark side, kill you, avenge your father, yada yada yada. They just keep doing it. They can't help themselves. It's really disappointing. It also honors George Lucas's descriptions of the dark side of the Force. Speaking about the dark side, Lucas stated, the pleasure factor of greed and of selfishness is a short-lived experience. Therefore, you're constantly trying to replenish it. But of course, the more you replenish it, the harder it is. So you keep upping the ante. You're actually afraid of the pain of not having the joy. Anyway, I'm not going to go any further. This is a longer video than I'm usually doing. But do you guys see this now as just absolute nonsense? So it goes from this is Disney. They take George's idea that this is a Now in Rise of Skywalker bringing Palpatine back, they kind of almost stole it back, though, too, right? They use it for what they want. Oh, it's unnatural. Sith powers, cloning. But then they don't keep it there. They have to do their lore-destroying stuff. So, again, George starts it off. It's a unnatural thing to raise somebody from the dead. Somebody dies, they're dead. So it's a Sith power. Disney completely flips it, because those Jedi texts were written before Palpatine said that. So now it's more of a good side thing. And it not only heals somebody, it turns them from the dark side. It can bring them back from the dead. It can repair kyber crystals. I mean, what is going on? And it doesn't take any of your Force power away, even though Disney's own writing says that you're transferring your energy. But with Rey and Grogu, it doesn't. This is just... But it does with Kylo. Like, oh my goodness. Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. Have a good day. Oh, and like and subscribe if you wouldn't mind. Thanks, guys.